what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy. I don't pretend to be fully objective. I do a show with 2 LSU jerseys behind me every day, right? When on like snaps and whatnot. And I think as a human being, it's impossible not to have biases. But you try to be somewhat objective. And I'm sorry, if you look at the SEC right now, where does LSU rank going into this year? Like, be honest with yourself. Georgia's above them. Texas is above them. I guess Alabama's a bit of an unknown, but, you know, I think Kalen DeBoer's resume and that team.
It's Georgia.
Yep.
Tier 1. Then it's Texas tier 2. And then and I'm not saying like tier 3, like, oh, they're way down. I'm just saying if you're tiering this thing, and then 3 would be like a combination of Alabama, Tennessee, LSU, maybe even Missouri.
Ole Miss has to be in there.
And Ole Miss, sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
Ole Miss has to be in there as well.
So I don't have Ole Miss up there with Texas, but they're probably the leader of that next tier.
See, I still hate that with Texas. I still feel like, do it twice, you know?
They do.
Do it twice. But I get it. I get how we're arriving there. And I agree with your tiered system. Like, it's not to say that I think that LSU is definitely worse than Ole Miss or Mizzou or Tennessee or Alabama. I agree with that grouping right there. But if you look, if you forced me to rank them, like you have to, gun to the head, I would probably have Alabama and Ole Miss ahead of LSU, and I would have LSU ahead of Mizzou and Tennessee.
What would make you put Alabama over LSU?
Just Kalen DeBoer's resume and now having the team that he has.
His resume is not going to. I love Kalen DeBoer, and all he does is win. But I'm not sure that just the resume, because BK's resume too.
Yeah, I think DeBoer's.
We start talking about what BK did at a lower level, just like Kalen DeBoer.
No doubt.
You know, it's kind of actually similar path and stepping stones of NAIA, and then you find your way to Fresno State, and then you find your way to the big job, kind of like BK did, you know, with Grand Valley, and then Central.
I think Alabama's still a better roster, though.
Oh, who's Alabama throwing the football to?
That's a good point. That is their biggest weakness, but I think they're going to be a run-first team. I think they're going to try to rely on the running game, O-line, Jalen Milroe's legs to then set up. But yes, the weapons, I don't know what happened. Alabama for a minute there had some of the best combinations of weapons that we've ever seen in college football, and now they haven't had anything for like 3 years, and it's probably been their most glaring weakness. So I agree with you there. That is absolutely, that is their defensive tackle. Who are they going to throw the ball to? But yeah, so look, I'm not saying, and yeah, Tommy says at worst LSU is 4th or 5th. Okay, yeah, so Tommy, we're like in agreement, right? Like, I think at the best, LSU rises to that 2nd or 3rd playoff spot. I don't think they're on a Georgia level. And at worst, yeah, they're like 4th or 5th, which is, so we're kind of saying the same thing. So yeah, when you get into national conversations about contenders, I'm not going to go out of my way to put them in a national contender conversation when I need them to prove it to me. And I have them like right on the edge of the playoffs. I think they're a fringe playoff team. In fringe playoff teams, you got to prove to me that you're going to fight through and make it.
There's not a lot of surefire, no doubt, going to be 1,000-yard receivers now that we're sitting here talking about it in the SEC next year. Like outside of Luther Burden, like you're wondering who's going, like Isaiah Bond going from Alabama to Texas, like is he going to be a guy? I think Tyron Lacey falls into that conversation. Like we can start to have names.
Those two for sure.
But like last year we came into this year and it's like you kind of knew there was, these handful of receivers that were going to do well.
Burden would be one.
And you just don't have that this year. And so, like, which of those teams, Tennessee, Ole Miss, because Ole Miss has a bunch of good receivers. I'm not sure they have the one elite receiver. Like, who's going to take over and be the playmakers in the conference? Because you've got some quarterbacks that you feel good about. Even running back, you're kind of starting over at running back as well. Like, Junkins, your best running back in the league, goes to Ohio State. So there's going to be a lot of new in the SEC, even with the top teams. Like Georgia's got question marks. You don't just lose Lab McConkey and Brock Bowers and be the same or better.
Yeah.
Like those are two really good weapons.
It does feel like there was a mass exodus more so than a normal year for some reason. Just so, I guess this is how college football works, where every now and then everything kind of lines up where like your upperclassmen are just really, really good and they're all gone. There's not a lot of lower classmen breaking through. Because I agree with you, a ton more unknown entering this year than what you had last year. So that, so that plays in LSU's favor because really, guys, we talked about this maybe a couple months ago, but like LSU's got a lot of question marks, a lot of potential.
Yeah.
A lot of potential, but a lot of question marks. New quarterback, a running back room that is, I don't exactly know how to score it. A wide receiver room that is unproven, but that I think will be one of the best in the country. We all know what the D-line is. You have a linebacker room that, again, has potential. I like the players. We haven't seen them have success, but I love having Blake Baker there now. Same thing with the secondary. I think you have enough there to find your answers, but they didn't look good last year. And so it's like you go down the list, and, yeah, there's just a lot of question marks that have to be answered. And so I'm trying to be a bit more objective than I have been in the past. Yeah. And instead of constantly shooting over the target,
right,
I'm trying to come in under the target, and hopefully I would love to be wrong coming in under rather than the bad feeling of being wrong going over like the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I completely understand that because the opener last couple of years, we've had a lot of egg on our face.
God.
Because we just –
so bad. So annoying.
And this isn't just this, like we're going back. Let's go back to UCLA in the Rose Bowl, right? I mean, it's been years with openers where you just haven't put your best foot forward at all.
Yeah.
And
true.
so you've got another big opener. Are you going to be ready for that opener? Like as far as like how I feel about LSU, the one thing that gives me the hope that they can be a playoff team is the offensive line. Like when you are as solid as they are, right, you're going to have the opportunity to go out there and be competitive and make the plays and give I don't want to say a young quarterback because, look, Gary Nussmeier was here when TJ Finley and Max Johnson were here. He's not a young quarterback. Just, he doesn't have the experience, right?
Yeah. Fair.
So, but how do you, make a quarterback like that comfortable? Not that he needs it because we all know his mentality, but the offensive line and him trusting that offensive line, knowing what he has in front of him. And so, like, that group makes you feel really good about the chances. But then you go down to across the ball on the other line of scrimmage, and that's why you don't give yourself over to LSU. Oh, they're going to be a surefire playoff team. Like, you have major deficiencies there. And you haven't so far in the second window done anything to fix those. Now, if you get one of those guys that we're talking about, maybe we feel better about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Steven in the chat's not wrong in saying that, just like going into this baseball team, this baseball season, you had a baseball team with a ton of potential. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, like now baseball, I do think is a bit of an outlier this year where it's like every question mark went bad, right? Like normally you're going to fall somewhere in the middle. You'll get some right, some wrong. And so it won't be as bad as baseball was to begin. Also, I think LSU football's schedule is far friendlier than what baseball was having to deal with. But they are similar in terms of roster makeup with okay, I like the talent, I like some of the potential, but we just have to see it proven on the field. Nicole Stillrod says, rule 1 of sales, under-promise and over-perform. Yeah, I guess that's kind of where my head's at right now. I'm trying to fight against my own sunshine pumping. And guys, it's not to say we suck. It does not. No, Dan Blunt, we suck again. No. That is not the case. I'm talking about a top 15 team that's on the edge of the playoff. Like I don't think that is suck. I think when you look at the complete teardown job that was the LSU defense, it's going to have a bit of a tail in terms of recovering.
Taylor, I want to throw this one to you. You cover and pay attention to recruiting on a much higher level than T-Bob and I. Dominic McKinley coming in. Is that, like, 5-star guy, was one of the most sought-after guys on the market in high school recruiting last year. from the state. We all know that. He's at the position that you have the biggest need. Like, can you expect him to come in and, like Mason Smith did, like, and not start, not be the dude, but can he give you valuable snaps at defensive tackle this year?
Not game one. I don't think so. I think he's still a little bit raw. I mean, he's a big-bodied guy, not unlike a Mason Smith. I think by week, 4 or 5, he will be in the everyday rotation. If he lives up to the hype, I don't think game one, though.
I mean, he wasn't here for spring, right?
No.
Gabriel Relaford was. Like, Relaford,
Yes.
you feel like because he got that jump start on it,
The issue
he
with
will
Relaford
factor
is
in
that he's a
game one.
little bit undersized.
Yeah, he's more of an end than a tackle. He feels like someone that's trying to play his way to tackle because he sees it as his best way to get on the field. But more natural, going to be a defensive end, and McKinley's going to be a tackle.
The guy I was hoping to hear more about in the spring, and just because you don't hear about him doesn't mean they don't do great, but Sean Washington, when you brought him in, I mean, he was at Georgia, he was the JUCO guy. You didn't hear a ton about him, and then Kimo McEneal just moved over from O-line. He was running at the defensive line rotation ahead of a Washington. He's a guy that I'd like to see step up.
So it sounds almost boring, but like I think this is this feels like a 9-3 team, which is very good. Now some people are going to be upset because it feels like you kind of been stuck in neutral a bit at 9-3, but coming from the 2 years where you actually finished sub 500, I think the back-to-back 10-win seasons really do matter. But like that is the barrier that you have to push through, right? The difference between 9-3 and 10-2 is massive. It is the difference between making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. It is the difference between like 10 regular season wins is a huge deal. There's a reason why Ole Miss had never done it before in their school history. Mizzou finding their way to 10. I mean, shoot, if Mizzou beat LSU last year, they might have been a playoff team. I mean, I guess maybe they would have gone to because they wouldn't have gone to the SC championships. They'd have been sitting there at 11-1. So yeah, that is the kind of that is when the water breaks and you start to crown when you get to 10-2. And I just don't quite know that I see that yet with this team.
You've got the SEC schedule, which is the obvious thing, but a couple of games against, funny enough, Big Ten teams. And so, like, the non-conference is going to tell a big story for LSU. Like, you can't keep dropping the opener. Like you
must win. Absolute must win. And especially because, Jake, that is directly a reflection of the staff. They've done a very good job of making immediate in-season adjustments and avoiding sunken cost fallacy and all that, but they got to have a better grasp on this team coming out of camp this year. That has to be goal number one.
It has to be, because go back to the game in New Orleans against Florida State, the debacle that was, and then a year ago, right, you're going right down are you okay?
No, I don't know, dude. Allergies, dude. I'm sorry. Allergies.
I've known you
dying back there.
I've known you for a long time. I've never heard you have allergies like this.
They're getting worse the older I get, dude. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm worried about your health.
No, keep going. I am too. Nobody likes to have a constant cough.
Yeah.
I'm not
Doesn't
saying
feel
it's
healthy.
tuberculosis, but I'm not saying that.
That is, my
off the
jersey
heaters.
did say TBA Bear.
There you go.
Back in the day, they used to call me Tuberculosis Bob. It's like a super unwieldy nickname, but Blackwell
very
thought
long.
it was funny.
Usually nicknames should be like shorter.
No,
like
that was just
T-Bob.
Will. I say they.
Tuberculosis
It was
Bob.
just
Like
Will
that's-
Blackwell. That was the only one.
Okay.
But also the opener last year, think about the opportunities you had in the first half to go score touchdowns and you didn't. You score those like even the first drive, like you're like
Jaden Daniels had no idea how good he was going to be.
Mm-mm.
He had no idea how good he was going to be.
If you put touchdowns on the board there, you win that game.
Yeah.
So you've had opportunities, but you've just not
And that'd be
played
a hell
like
of a win.
yourself.
To be clear, like that is a 13-0, should have been in the Final Four, would have been if their quarterback had not gotten hurt. Like that would have been a massive win, actually. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.